right, good afternoon. Welcome to Amos House. My name is Eileen Hayes. I'm the CEO here at Amos House, and I'm just so incredibly honored to be a part of the Mayor's Guaranteed Income Program. Amos House is, our philosophy is a strength-based organization, and that means that we believe in the inherent of every human to do the best they can with given resources because they have the inherent strength and capability. And I think the Mayor's Guaranteed Income Program is the perfect example of what being strength-based is, that this program is going to give people the autonomy over their own lives to decide how to make them the best families they can be. So without further ado, we have a long list of people that are part of this program that have contributed funds as well as tremendous amount of time over the last couple of years to put this program together. So I'm so honored to have Mayor Elorza with us here, and I'm going to turn it over to him. So welcome everybody, and thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I want to begin, we do have a lot of people who you're going to be hearing from today, and that's emblematic of what a program like this entails. Really, no one person could do it. It really is an entire community coming together to launch something like this. So I want to take the opportunity to recognize and thank Eileen Hayes and Jessica Salter from the Amos House, along with Kathleen Clutier from Dorcas International, who will be overseeing and running this program, so thank you. I also want to recognize a couple of partners in government who are here today. You'll be hearing from State Senator Tiara Mack and State Rep Anastasia Williams. I truly appreciate your being here and for your partnership. And in particular, I really want to recognize 3 funding partners who have been absolutely crucial in believing in and investing this program. I want to start off by recognizing Neil Steinberg from the Rhode Island Foundation for this investment that you've made in particular, but also for a number of investments that you continue to make throughout the state. And while I'm thanking Neil, I also want to thank and recognize Courtney Nicolato from the United Way of Rhode Island. You brought a very innovative and forward-thinking approach. We truly appreciate your partnership and participation in this. And last but not least, I want to recognize Jen Hawkins of One Neighborhood Builders. You all didn't have to partner with us on this, but you believe in this program, you believe in your neighborhood, and so we deeply thank you and appreciate your participation. And if I can also, just as a matter of personal privilege, also recognize someone from my team, Hannah Khan, who is here. Hannah, who is there, has been the main point person, really steering the bus over the past year. And if I may just ask everyone to give Hannah a big round of applause, because she's been instrumental. Thank you and congratulations, Hannah. So, I was thinking about what this program means, and I want to share with you a little bit of my personal connection to this, and that's that certainly my family today would not benefit from this because we're above the income qualifications at this point. But that wasn't the case when I was growing up. My family, just as so many families throughout our community, have suffered and continue to suffer in many trying ways, dealing with the oppressive burden and the weight of financial challenges. My mother, who is my hero, would work around the clock. And so many of the decisions that my family made over time were made because of financial pressures. My mother, her entire life, worked second shift. She did this because we couldn't afford daycare or childcare. So my aunt worked first shift. When she got out of work, my mother would go into work. My aunt would watch us during the mornings. My mother would watch us during the mornings, and my aunt would watch us during the evenings. As I mentioned, my family is no different than so many other families throughout the city. And yes, we struggled and we had our challenges. When I think back to so many family disputes, and I think back in so many of those family disputes were financial in nature. So we know that minding our finances and my parents striving to put food on the table every day took an incredible toll over the years. but they did what they could. And by sheer dint of luck and by being favored by fortune, my mother was able to raise 2 kids who graduated high school, and now we're on our feet and providing for our families. But make no mistake about it, my family did this in spite of all of the obstacles. They did this by overcoming all of the odds. And it's rough out there. And especially in a moment like now where so many people feel as though they're on a hamster wheel. You know, they're running as hard as they can, but they still can't seem to get ahead. Issues such as a car breaking down and not being able to get to work consistently and on time. As I mentioned, families working around the clock and perhaps not being there for their kids, especially in those teenage years when their kids need them the most. Sometimes you don't have consistent childcare, and this shapes everything that you do throughout your day. The reality is that about 50% of Americans are a $500 bill away from a financial crisis in their families. Just think about the mental, psychological toll that this takes on you over time. And we're living in a day and age where the gap in wealth continues to grow. That leads all of us to believe that it's time to take new approaches to addressing poverty. About 50 years ago, our country's president launched a war on poverty. I have to admit that at sometimes it seems as though this war on poverty has been inverted into a war on poor people. But we also have to acknowledge that as far as this war on poverty is concerned, that while our government might not be openly fighting a war on poverty, or perhaps has not consistently done so over the past 50 years, folks on the front lines, people living under poverty, they have been fighting a war on poverty consistently this entire time. And that's why today, joined with all of our partners, we're taking a different approach. One that actually relies on people on those front lines who we believe know what's best to fight poverty, who we believe know what's best for their families. And that's why we are offering 110 families throughout the city $500 a month with no strings attached for the next 12 months. And so it might be that one month you have to invest in car repairs. It might be that another month you have to invest in childcare, or perhaps you have to buy shoes or school clothing for your kids. The point is that families on the front lines who have been fighting this war on poverty in deeply personal ways know best how to fight this war. And we're putting dollars into their hands and giving them the agency to make the decisions that they need to bring their families or lift their families out of poverty. So I'm happy that Providence today is part of a coalition of cities that is launching these pilot programs. And as part of these pilot programs, I want you all to know that research is an important component to it, because we know that this work can't only be done at the local level. This is something that has to be adopted at all levels of government, not just the cities, but also states and at the federal level. And in the pilot programs that we're modeling and that we're learning from, we've seen very clearly that health outcomes improve for participants in the program, full-time employment improves for participants in the program, and it sets them and their families up for success. So it is time that we take new and different approaches, because if there's one thing that causes poverty, it's the lack of money. And this program, as radical as it is also very simple. Let's put money into the hands of the people that need it the most and allow them the agency to make decisions as to what to do to lift their own families out of that poverty. So before I pause and hand it over, I also want to recognize a couple of colleagues in office that I failed to mention at the beginning. I want to recognize Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris and Councilman Espinal, Pedro Espinal. So thank you for joining us.